What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Red Couch Podcast. My name is Aaron,
And I'm Avery.
and we hope you're all doing great. Avery, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Life is going on.
Yep. How's school with this whole craziness going on?
It's still weird.
Yep.
We're moving very fast in my biology class. We're doing 2 units a week and then a test every Friday. So it's a lot.
Yeah, it definitely is, and it's especially with these times going on right now. It can be a lot, not just schoolwork, but like it can really get to our mental
Yeah.
health and all that stuff, and really affect it. Which is actually a great segue because on today's episode we have some awesome people joining us from the Mental Health Resource Project. We have Casey and Danny here with us today. How are you two doing?
Doing all right, Aaron? How are you guys?
I'm doing good, Aaron.
Doing good, doing good. So Mental Health Resource Project is something totally brand new, at least from my perspective. Do you mind, well, let's start off by getting to know you two first. Like, do you mind telling us and the listeners at home a bit about yourselves?
Yeah, for sure. I'm Casey Scanlon. I am the president and the co-founder of MHRP. I'm from Penetanguishene, Ontario. We started this charity, I think, last year in December of 2019. So it's I think we just passed the year mark. It's been an absolutely incredible experience, and how far we've gone has just exceeded my expectations tenfold. So that's a little bit about me. Danny?
Yeah, so I'm Danny. I'm also grew up around here in Penetang, Ontario. I'm the marketing director here at the MHRP, and just kind of echoing what Casey said, we came up with the idea back in 2019. It was just me and our friend. We also have another guy who's involved, but currently at the moment without being able to go in person. He's kind of the events director, but he's kind of off to the side just because with COVID, we can't really do any events in person. So yeah, no, just what Casey pretty much summed it up pretty good. We were we had plans for going into the early spring, but everything was kind of diminished because of COVID. And then I'm sure we'll dive into that in a little bit.
Yeah, COVID's been a real pain, I feel like, with everybody. I know similarly with the hub, we've had so many ideas about, workshops and events for youth to attend and all that, but good old Rona had to take it away.
Yeah, so you guys mentioned the three of you. Is there anyone else that is involved with the MHRP?
Yeah, we have an IT consultant that he basically built the entire website as well as did basically all of the technological aspects of us. His name's Aaron Mavro. He's a software engineering student here at the Western University in London, Ontario. Great programmer. I know that he's also been working a few small businesses, a bunch of founding startups. So yeah, he's a really great guy. He's done all this stuff pro bono. That's Aaron Mavro, our software developer.
Nice. The tech support is, especially now with COVID, is always really helpful. I'm sure Matt, our editor, is listening to this. Yeah, really, really great when these people know what they're doing. You mentioned the Mental Health Resource Project. Do you mind telling us a bit more about what exactly is MHRP and like the overall vision and mission and what y'all do?
Sure. So at MHRP, our vision is really to help young Canadians in any way we can deal with mental health through supporting initiatives in our community. That is our overall vision. But in terms of where we want the charity to be, is where we want it to be an entity that combines that traditional brick and mortar fundraising like events and whatnot, as well as kind of doing new stuff, innovative ways to raise money like e-commerce, online premises, digital marketing, things like that. And basically this kind of started with our passion, which is to find these new and improved ways to combat the problems with mental health that youth are facing every single day. We really want to make that mental illness and mental wellness much more understood and make it way more treatable when the time comes.
Yeah, I also think that one of the bigger things for us too was keeping it local, like within Simcoe County. So I know that's why we'll also get into that later about like why we chose like Waypoint as to donate our fundraising profit from the summer. But yeah, no, just kind of eliminating the stigma around mental health, especially around here in this area. It's definitely tough growing up in kind of like a smaller area where you don't see as many opportunities, and that can really affect someone's mental health, especially within the ages of like 16, 22. Once you're in high school, move on to like college, university, and then you got to figure out what you want to do. There's definitely some barriers to that.
Definitely. So why do you think it's important for the MHRP and like the work that they're doing, like how that's like helping everyone?
In terms of importance, well, the stats are that I think it was almost, over 4,000 people committed suicide in Canada in 2017. Take that number from the 2009 number, which was up almost 7%. So suicides have been on the rise for years in Canada. It's currently the 9th leading cause of death in the country. That is more than all the liver diseases in the entire nation. It really shows how big of a problem that Canada has and how, honestly, far we have to go to really start solving this problem. Because it is a solvable problem. You take a disease like, liver diseases and whatnot, those treatments are, few and far between, but medicine is constantly working at, creating those diseases. But there's not nearly that ability to do that with mental health. So this is kind of what our initiative wants to do. We really want to make that possible. We want to make that research and that preventive as well as treatment methods much more accessible and much more possible in the country. But in terms of right now, mental health is one of the most highest important given the pandemic.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But it's funny because since the pandemic, overdoses have increased, mental health problems have increased. However, interesting statistic is that actually suicide rates were thought to going to explode at the pandemic, but they've actually not. There's a great doctor out of Alberta. His name is Robert Black. He basically says that I think the quote was this pull together is very counterintuitive and it's not what anyone thought it would be. But he says that when we're all distressed, but we're all trying to do something together for society that benefits everybody around us, it really does decrease suicide rates. So it's this counterintuitive piece that even though mental health problems and the isolation and the loneliness is increasing, basically the idea that we're all working for one another have actually decreased suicide rates.
Yeah, and I feel like too with the pandemic, I just from just like what I know off of isolation and all that stuff, that you'd think that this pandemic would increase those stats, but I feel like we were, I don't know if the right way to say it was we were more prepared, but things like the North Simcoe Wellness Hub and all the other hubs across Ontario that are providing all these awesome mental health resources, addiction supports, and even all these different levels of supports for youth, right? Like that's something I feel like if I was to look back to when I was like in high school, like I don't either it was not around at all or it wasn't as well known or common. Whereas now I feel like we're really promoting self-care and mental health, especially during these times.
Yeah, just kind of build off that, Aaron. I think that's like also like one of our biggest goals is kind of like attacking the mental health stigma like in the younger ages of kids now, because if it in your building years and your young teen years, if we think that if we're able to kind of gain gain awareness, I would say more than anything in those younger years of that it's like it's okay to not be okay, and if you have a problem, like you should probably you should speak out with it. It's fine. It should be encouraged to go seek help for anything that you're feeling. I think that's one of our biggest goals, like within the long run, probably say our short-term goal within 3 to 5 years of really trying to build that, because it's not gonna go overnight. Like the stigma isn't going to change in one day. It's going to take time to build this. So I think that's one of our biggest goals, is just kind of sticking to the process and hoping that so we are able to create change within Simcoe County.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like the work that you're doing is with MHRP is definitely one of the first of or one of the many steps that we need to take towards that goal. If people want to know more about what the Mental Health Research Project and what more about your vision and goals, like where can they go to learn more?
So our website is mhrproject.com. That you go there to get more information about the team, our resources, and what we are doing, as well as our Instagram is MHR_project_. We're always kind of we try to post like once a month with just different things that we can post. And then our Facebook is just Mental Health Resource Project as well. You can go follow us on there.
Awesome. And we'll make sure to put those links and stuff down in the description of this episode as well, so people can learn more. speaking of the work that you and your team have been doing, one of the things that really caught my eye for MHRP was y'all made a donation to Waypoint, I think around $1,300. So what made you choose to donate? I know you kind of touched on it a little bit, but like what made you choose to donate to Waypoint?
Yeah, so the Waypoint decision for me was not only symbolic, but also very practical. Waypoint is one of the most misunderstood facilities in this area, the Simcoe County area. A lot of people, especially young people, really only think Waypoint is either a hospital or a jail, which is completely untrue. Waypoint has undertaken so many massive research projects that most people in its own backyard, in its own town, are totally unaware about. They employ these top researchers from across the country who work tremendously hard to find new and innovative ways to treat and prevent various forms of mental illnesses. I actually had the chance to meet the research team over at Waypoint and kind of let them know what MHRP was, how we wanted to help, and how we could complement their pros, as well as maybe try to help out some of the things they are struggling with. And that is the one thing that I really enjoyed about me talking to the research team, was that how self-aware they were in terms of what their strengths were, but as well as what their weaknesses were. Now, these are top-end scientists. They're incredibly academia. They have more degrees on the wall than I can count to. But that's the thing. They are scientists. They're not marketers. They're people that are extraordinarily good in a laboratory, but not as good on a marketing front. And in terms of how we can help, is that we at MHRP are not only trying to give money to things that we believe in, but we're also trying to promote the things that we believe in. And giving to Waypoint was basically MHRP's first step in creating a long-term relationship with Waypoint that's going to basically take our business expertise, with Dan doing sports marketing down at LSU in Louisiana, as well as me being at the Ivy Business School and different finance and banking and whatnot, to really complement and create a better Waypoint, one that's more known in the community, and that one the community really appreciates and is willing to contribute some of their funds into Waypoint's research efforts.
No, that's interesting to hear, and it's interesting to hear too, like because I know of Waypoint through just personal connections and stuff, but it's true, like not everyone is aware of what exactly Waypoint is and what it is they do, and I feel like things like for example, the North Simcoe Wellness Hub, like I know I keep bringing it back, and it's not just because I work there, but it's that kind of I want to say like a bridge point of like, we are, by introducing youth to mental health related topics and issues at an earlier time, they're more familiar with, like they can become more familiar, not only with the topics around it, but like with places like Waypoint and the Hub and like any other, and other community organizations in our area that help support mental health and addictions, right? So it's definitely interesting to hear that perspective. So what was the fundraising process like then for when you were planning to donate to Waypoint?
Yeah, so this is actually a funny story. So before COVID, myself, Dan, Jack, and Aaron, we had these, basically great plans of, charting out the Miss Midland for a, really nice dinner night, these physical events. We were going to rent out the MCC for one night, have a big, basically gala with, silent auctions and performances and whatnot and so forth. But once COVID hit, basically all of our planning, all of our reservations got thrown out. So yeah, all the things that we had planned were totally sidelined. And this was in about mid-March. And I got off around April 15th to go back home. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, A, I don't have a job anymore because they canceled on me because of COVID. And B, I now have a bunch of, people that are depending on me for this, starting up this charity with absolutely no ideas right now because of COVID. And so basically what I did was I went back to the drawing board and I said, okay, like how can we use our connections in the town and, in this area to really not only promote MHRP, also help a small business, as well as make money for Waypoint. And so I began calling around, and I ended up actually calling Lorraine Jordan over at Team Jordan. It's a division of Keller Williams Complete Realty. And I called her and said, hey, we think that you would be a great fit with us. I went to high school with your son. I know Lorraine pretty well. And I said, I think that this could be a really, really good partnership for both of us. And I said, and in that moment, I really didn't have an idea of what it would look like yet, but Lorraine was interested in just kind of working with us. And I said, hey, like, let me go back for a few days, put my thinking cap on and think about how we can make this partnership work. She also did that. And in the end, we were actually able to forge out a partnership where MHRP would get a bunch of volunteers. We ended up getting about 24 in the end. And what we would do is we would get these large phone lists and have volunteers make phone calls. And we ended up making about 1,200 phone calls a week, offering free home valuations, totally free home valuations, no strings attached or anything like that, to homeowners. And so Team Jordan would then send their people to evaluate the homes. And once that was done, if the home sold, MHRP would get a portion of those funds. So that $1,300 represents basically the work that we did at the very beginning of the summer, because it takes about 8 months for a home to sell, especially during COVID. It probably takes a bit longer. So we actually still have homes for sale right now in Simcoe County, so that once they do sell, MHRP will also get a donation. And that was kind of the partnership. And it was definitely a weird partnership in a great way, because we were the only charity in the country doing this. Mm-hmm. And it was totally innovative. It was a really cool experience. Now, granted, I made more than a couple mistakes, but it was obviously a bit of a bumpy road, but first time for everything. It's all a learning experience. But I think that just having the opportunity to work with a great company and a great owner in Lorraine, it was just a really great experience, and I'm really happy we got to do that.
Yeah, I gotta give credit to Casey's innovativeness for that idea, because it was definitely something that was unique, and we're all experiencing different unique things in these times. So that was definitely it was seen as kind of to the public, it was kind of seen as different to begin with, as a way to raise money. But the money went to a good cause in the end, and we were able to raise $1,300, which we didn't even expect we were going to get anything out of it to begin with. So, definitely creative, definitely unique. And it was a good thing to see that in the end, our volunteers worked pretty hard, and we were able to get something done for the summer in a time that we didn't really know what we were going to do. So.
Yeah. And it just goes to show that, like, some great ideas come from the most unexpected places. And like youth are oftentimes, not that they're not, I don't know the right way to say this, but sometimes youth ideas aren't taken as seriously, or they're not considered as much when it comes to things. But like, I feel like nowadays youth voice and youth input is valued more than ever. And I know at the Youth Wellness Hubs Ontario, like all the sites across the province, that's something they try to advocate for, is making sure that the decisions and all that stuff are guided by the feedback of youth, and that the things that we do are stem from youth ideas. So it's really great to hear and see such young minds working and making such awesome things happen. Do you have, so I know you've talked about, like, you donated to Waypoint and you did some fundraising there, and that's kind of what MHRP, or one of the things that they do. Do you have any upcoming fundraising opportunities that you'd like to share? Anything in the works?
We are in the works of a few projects. Nothing's been finalized yet, but to anyone listening to the podcast, there will be things this summer, 100%. Just because we have so many things in the works, I don't really know which one we're going to go with just yet. But keep your eyes open, keep your ears free, and we'll let you know.
Yeah, I was gonna say our biggest deal we're kind of working on behind the scenes with is partnering with a local company to hopefully get some sales on some merchandise, but nothing is finalized as of yet, so I don't want to reveal it. But we're hoping within the next 1 to 2 months we can get something out.
Stay tuned, folks. Stay tuned. But yeah, and even like for anyone listening, like as they mentioned, they were able to secure some volunteers as well. So do y'all have volunteer opportunities as well coming up with those?
Yeah, volunteering opportunities will be posted on our Facebook on a need-be basis. Probably, I would say that we're going to be doing our first round of volunteer hires in, I would say, mid-April.
Yeah, mid-April, early May, we'll probably start putting a project together.
Yeah,
Alright.
and then all that will be posted on all the social medias, the website, everything, word of mouth. We'll make sure every single person in town knows what's going on.
Good to know.
Mhm.
Any people need volunteer hours for graduating?
Yeah,
Those are everyone forgets about those.
well, not only that, but with everything going on with the pandemic and everything, like
It's
I
hard to
feel
get
like
them
it's
now.
a little bit more difficult. Like even like because I remember when I was in high school, my volunteer hours came from extracurricular activities,
Mhm.
and those aren't happening as much because of the restrictions, right? Or I would go out and volunteer somewhere in the community, but there's not as many, or it's not as easy to find those opportunities anymore. So
Yeah, you have to
definitely,
really look.
definitely
Yeah.
something that youth can benefit from.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that. Yeah, hilariously enough, most of the volunteers that we had last summer were actually university students because everyone that at least volunteered for us were basically writing their MCATs in the fall, and because there was really no work due to COVID, they basically decided that okay, like if I can't work, I may as well volunteer with a health-related organization such as MHRP. So I think it was something like 40% of our volunteers were all basically second or third year university undergrads writing their MCATs in the fall. And another 20% were actually people employed in Toronto and Edmonton or BC. And their business had basically say like, hey, like we're really slowing down. We obviously want you to stay on the payroll, but we can only give you 50% workload. We need you to pick 50% up in nonprofits. And that was a really cool thing. I know 123 Dentist, that was one of our volunteers employers. And that's exactly what they said. They said, hey, we'll pay you exactly what we said we were going to pay you, but spend 50% of your time working for a nonprofit. And I think that was a really, really cool initiative that they were able to do. So, all the credit to that company.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And yeah, an innovative way of working around the challenges with COVID.
Absolutely.
So obviously, mental health resource project that provides amazing mental health opportunities and, you help advocate for that. How has your experience with mental health affected like your work or just like your everyday lives?
Yeah, I could probably take this one. I could probably even take it to like just kind of the founding story. Let me just get you back on screen here. So obviously we had a friend in high school. I think that is very, very well known. Very popular person. Seemed like she was the person that would walk into a room and light the entire place up. And she unfortunately passed away. And just something I couldn't get out of my mind for the days kind of following it and the weeks following it was that social media. I saw people making tweets. I saw people putting on their Instagram stories, and I personally just felt like that reactive kind of tweets or those Instagram posts just weren't enough. I felt that if you're going to post something, okay, but that's one thing to raise awareness. That's great, but how do you do more? How do you prevent something like that from happening again to not just yourself but for others? And we care about each other in this community, and we want to make sure that everyone's safe, everyone's healthy. And we are going to do that by making sure that we all understand that real change is proactive and it's not reactive. And we're going to do this change in the way that we know how. Dan and I, we're in business. We're not doctors, we're not psychiatrists, but we do know how to fundraise. We do know how to market, and we're going to be able to use those skills to foster relationships and really control the volunteers and our human resources to really generate proactive change that's going to really change a lot of people's lives.
Yeah, just kind of echoing off what Casey said, like, during that time, I'd say that within the months after, like, we kind of felt like, what could we have done better? And that really stuck with us for the months leading up to December when we decided to do something. And it was kind of like, what can we do to change to make sure that nothing happens like this again, like in our community? So that was definitely one of the driving factors behind, like, instead of just, going on social media and just typing about it, like, what could we do to actually raise money to help prevent having something like this ever happening again? And then I guess I'll open up about something I haven't really talked about to anyone recently, but I mean, I've never really dealt with mental health like issues ever before. Like I was always a pretty like happy guy and didn't have any problems or anything like that. But, it's within the last couple months, like I've been developing some anxiety and just kind of, I'm always like, I'm always fidgety. Like I'm always kind of like, worrying about stuff that I can't control. So, I mean, it was tough to begin with, but then, I was able to talk to my doctor. I wasn't really within 3 months. I was kind of like I'd say 3 months after I kind of started getting anxiety, like I realized like, hey, I should probably talk to someone about this. I talked to my doctor and he helped prescribe me with different resources that I can do to help with it. So, I mean, I never really, like I said, I never really like experienced anything. I was never able to like, empathize with anyone who had mental health problems. And then, once it kind of happens to you, you kind of realize like what other people are going through and you kind of empathize with it. So that was definitely something and it was weird because like it happened, it kind of happened like while we were doing this instead of like before. So yeah.
No, and it's definitely true, especially when people talk about how, oh, it's important to check in on friends and all that, but that's just like the tip of the iceberg in terms of what you need to do to make sure that people feel supported and well supported, right? And part of it is like, like what MHRP is doing is fundraising and marketing all these amazing supports available to to not just youth and everyone, but to the whole community, right? And so I feel like having access to these resources for mental health and all these other issues is really, really important. So so things like, for example, the hub, I know it's just something that's started recently, but it has the potential to help a lot of youth, especially who may not be familiar with what's available to them. With that in mind, though, like, why do you think it's more important for youth to know about the resources and supports available to them, like especially now more than ever?
I think like I'll take it, Casey. But I'm saying like especially like during these times, like it's really tough, man. Like everyone's at home, everyone locked down, like no one really knows what the future is. Like some people are constantly worrying about like what could happen if a family member got COVID or like what's their future going to look like. So it's definitely harder on kids now to like know that there are resources out there for you. Like you aren't alone. Like this pandemic is eventually going to wind down. It's going to come to an end. We're hopefully going to get back to life as it is, right? So just knowing that there is someone out there for you, there is outlets they can go to, is probably one of our biggest factors behind what we want to promote and like what we want to reach out to kids nowadays. But yeah, just I would say just kind of sum it all up, just knowing that someone is there for you and knowing that you can reach out, and also like being proactive as a foundation, just letting it's easier to let people know that there is out there instead of them trying to figure it out for themselves, if you know what I'm saying there. Just like gaining awareness that like there are resources out there for you is definitely kind of like one of our biggest goals, especially during these times.
Yeah, and just building off of Danny, just from like a basically kind of macro perspective, that there's a great resource. It's www.camh.ca. I'm sure you heard of it. It's basically a government basically it's not a lobbyist group, but it's it's definitely trying to push certain government policies towards helping mental health a bit better. And the one quote that is from their website that I think really kind of basically is the entirety of kind of what we're trying to say is that mental health still remains on an unequal footing with physical health. And I've always been a one that's going to separate the terms mental illness from mental wellness. If mental wellness was treated as the same level as exercise and physical wellness, including staying fit, being active, having a lot of sleep, drinking water and whatnot, then I believe that mental illness should be thought about the same as, physical determinants like a broken leg or you have the flu. There's certain things like that. And that's kind of the way when I worked in the private sector, that's how they thought about it. They thought that, if we could see someone, coming in and treating their mental wellness as much as they treat it going to the gym, we could really foster an environment that's going to really help out youth in different ways. And youth mental health has basically one of the highest rates of mental illness in the country. And that's, they're going through changes that, they're moving, they're becoming adults. And with that comes a lot of mental illness just naturally. So they're definitely one of the most predisposed groups to having these feelings. And, something that MHRP has kind of always wanted in terms of a very, very long-term goal. And I know that KMH wants this as well, and something I really believe in. I do think that the government does need to do additional training for guidance counselors or perhaps teachers or someone in high schools that does a bit of a better job in terms of diagnosing common traits of certain mental illnesses. Now, granted, we're not, the Canadian government can obviously not afford a full-time psychiatrist, as well as a psychiatrist cannot, screen every single person in a high school. That's too much. But just to have someone, like perhaps a guidance counselor, who's able to kind of see those common traits and then refer those students to the correct resources, whether that be a psychiatrist or therapy or different rehabilitations. And and beyond that kind of long-term goal, just understanding that you always need to know about the tools for continuing their mental wellness. That's, sleep, again, exercise, therapy, hydration, meditation, all those things that they can do to actually support them later on in life, because, a fitter person has less of a chance of having an injury, just as someone who really highlights their own mental wellness has less of a chance of having a mental illness.
I think that is something a lot of people don't realize at first is you see someone with a broken leg, they have a broken leg, but you don't see someone's mental illness right away.
No, and that's what makes it tricky is someone could seem like they're fine, they look like they're having the time of their life, but in reality that person could be having all these anxious thoughts and is having a hard time even thinking properly while they're sitting in the cafeteria, for example, right? So it's really important that we prioritize mental health as much as we do physical health and all that.
So what resources do you think youth would like to see more available?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just kind of going back on what I just said a few moments ago, it is really just having marketing towards them regarding how they can continue their mental wellness, as well as understanding what the signs of mental illness are. If a youth is able to make sure they're doing the things that they need to do to better their own minds, that's again sleep, exercise, therapy, hydration, meditation, they're going to be a bit more, bit less predisposed to mental illnesses, as well as making sure youth understand what are the signs. What are the signs that I have anxiety? What are the signs I have depression? What are the signs I have these different mental illnesses? Because, again, it's a huge range. Some people have a very mild case of depression, and some people have a very severe case of depression. And, just understanding the symptoms would really go a miles in having youth really feel like they have, a reason to speak up, and also giving them the resources to speak up and the resources to get help. Because in the end, every piece of ink we put on a paper or every single dollar we put fundraising, it is for them. It is to give them the tools and the resources that they need to be successful as well as get better.
Yeah, I think kind of echoing off what Casey said, I think one of our biggest goals was to have sort of a mental health division funded into high schools around the area. So whether it be having a therapist in a high school that students can go to, either during the day or if they didn't feel comfortable, after school when no one's around, where they can go talk one-on-one. And we also wouldn't mind seeing, mental health curriculum put into health class or something like that. There always talk about how to, stay up to date with your physical health, but there's never really any talk about staying up to date with your mental health. So that's, something that we would hope to see put in the curriculum within gym class, or be mandatory to be taught in grade 9, grade 10. So people are aware of, symptoms like what Casey was talking about, and it's okay to not be okay. And, if there's anything that you aren't feeling, it's okay to talk to someone. There are resources out there for you. So that was definitely, one of our biggest goals when we started this was kind of attacking the problem at the grassroots as opposed to letting it grow within the teenager ages. So, that Casey made a great point there of how we want to get those resources available and get the resources out into the public.
Yeah, so you mentioned how just letting youth know, especially about symptoms in mental health, I think that is really important because a lot of youth will feel these symptoms but not to an extent where they may think, oh, I should maybe ask for help. They'll think that it's like maybe normal or that it's going to pass. So I think teaching youth what these symptoms and like what they should look for is really helpful for them.
Yeah, the self-identification is definitely probably one of the biggest steps to, like I said, eliminating the cancer of whatever it may be at the beginning stages of when it starts to develop. So,
and even just going further and promoting the idea that it's okay to speak up. Like if you're feeling that it's not the end of it's not the worst thing to go and talk to someone about it, because if you feel that it's something that that is bothering you, like shouldn't that give you all the more reason to go and talk to someone about how to help deal with that in a way, right? So yeah. I think on top of like educating youth about all these mental health issues, I feel like we're helping or trying to reduce the stigma around it as well is almost just as important too.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I could draw back to just kind of the comparables to physical health, it sometimes feels like if you have a symptom and you try to do something and go get a resource, it's almost like you have a cough and you go to WebMD and 15 minutes later you're terrified that you're going to die because of what the page says, right? And in the vast amount of situations, it's not that bad, of course, but just to give people the accurate resources. It goes so many miles in terms of getting them the correct help and getting them the correct diagnosis, because if they don't speak up, if they don't get help, they won't be diagnosed and they won't start that path to rehabilitation. And so yeah, just to sum up what Dan and I are saying, just ensuring that they have the tools and the resources they need to get diagnosed and get help and continue their wellness journeys.
And definitely one way of for people in the North Simcoe area, like the Youth Wellness Hub is one of those places that offers all these supports, all these tools to help not only the youth, but the families of the youth as well. Because that's, I feel like, another thing is like, if I'm a parent and I see my kid going through these things, but I have no idea how to help, like what do I do, right? So definitely be sure to don't hesitate to reach out to services and supports available to you. Just for a fun kind of segue onto this, so you mentioned that your work promotes in a way markets and fundraising, right? So I'd be curious to hear how your team would promote the services available at our hub. Like you mentioned school outreach and all that, but like I'd be interested to hear if I was to make you give you this task, like what would y'all do?
Yeah, I can tell you my own experience of working in the private sector for youth mental health. I worked down a place called Straight Up Health in Toronto. They were basically what the Youth Hub did, just in the private sector. And basically just their entire value proposition is the fact that they have one-on-one counseling, they build relationships, and they have a rock star team. And I know that the Youth Hub has all those abilities to have that. And so marketing those three things would absolutely bring in people. So if you want to get that out there, if you want to make sure people know that if they go in there, they're having a one-on-one time, just as the same, if you're getting diagnosed by a doctor for your leg, you go into a room with a doctor one-on-one. And if we do that, the Youth Hub, people will be much more happy to go because it's private, it's confidential, it's all those things that they would want to see. And the second one is building relationships. And a piece of building relationships for the Youth Hub would be absolutely matching the correct therapist to the right patient. A lot of times we see is that they would just kind of, a lot of different youth hubs from across the country, as well as the private and the public sphere, they'll just pick whatever therapist is available for the given patient. I think that's the wrong way to go at it. I think the right way to go at it is to find the correct psychiatrist that will be the best able to start that patient's path to rehabilitation. And that really starts with having a rock star team, having people there. And I know that the Youth Hub in Simcoe has that. And so I think that in terms of marketing for you guys, it's pretty easy because you have those three things and you have the ability to have those three things.
Yeah, I would, yeah, just echoing off what Casey said, I would say the power of social media would also come into it play, just marketing through Instagram, Twitter, online websites, and just, promoting resources that are available at the hub, but also like kind of keeping it anonymous as well. I know most, at LSU, we do have a website where you're able to, if you are having issues, you can submit, a name. Privately, you can submit what's going on, and someone who is a qualified therapist will get in touch with you. So just, I would say that's kind of the beginning. If people are not comfortable, saying, what's going on with them publicly, they can always do it privately to a trusted institution like the hub, and then you would be able to, direct them to the proper resource within, 1 to 2 days or whatever. Take it case by case almost. So
No, that's interesting to hear y'all's perspective on it. Sounds a lot like, really establishing those really good connections and just working together with your team to make sure that you're doing the best that you're doing. All right, we're gonna take a quick break. And we're back. Okay, so we're really, really happy to have had MHRP here talk about, how awesome the work that the Mental Health Resource Project is doing, and getting to know more not only about them, but what it is that they do, and how the work that they're doing could helps everyone in the community. But now we're gonna kind of chill out a bit and kind of have some fun here with nothing says fun like general trivia. So if the two of you, Danny and Casey, are willing to compete in this awesome game we have, I'd be happy to explain the rules.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Awesome. So essentially, Avery and I will be asking you questions. I think, Avery, you're going to keep...
I'm going to keep score because this is going to be a competition.
Oh, yeah. And for those of you listening, I went to high school with Casey and Danny, and I know they can be competitive. So here we go. And I will be asking you some general trivia questions. And basically one of y'all will buzz in. What your buzz noise is up to you. And whoever buzzes in first and says the answer is gets the point if they get it right. Does that make sense? Did I say that right, Avery?
I think so.
Okay, cool. So how about you, Casey and Danny? Y'all kind of understanding the game?
Yeah, is whoever just shouts first gets the point?
Whoever answers.
Can we establish like a buzz noise?
I can we could just put a thumb up or something, like whoever wants to go first.
Or whoever just even says because you two have very distinct voices.
All right.
So we could also just do whoever yells it out first, if that works, if that's easier for everyone.
All right.
All right, awesome. Sorry for everyone listening about this.
Warning for headphone users, this could be loud.
This could be. Do y'all want to do, what level do you want to do? Easy, medium, or hard? I have a lot of...
We'll go hard.
Okay, alrighty. So, the hard questions. Okay, here we go. Is everyone ready?
Yeah.
So, first question is, what type of dog is Handsome Dan, the mascot of Yale University?
Bulldog.
Yeah, you said bulldog? That was Danny. I know, I heard Danny.
Yep, that was a bulldog. There we go.
Leave it to Alice. Okay, awesome. So that's 1 point, Danny. We're doing 10 questions, by the way. So that was question 1 out of 10. I don't know if I said that earlier. All right. The next question is, what year was Queen Elizabeth II born, or current monarch?
She's born in what,
1902.
You looked that up, didn't you?
No.
I'll say 1906.
You guys really think she's that old?
Probably not 115.
No. I think it's like,
she's born in 1911. 1932.
No.
Okay. I'm gonna just say that none of y'all get the point for this one. It was 1926.
Oh,
32 was closest.
Now that I think about it, 1902 is like 120 something. So yeah.
She's old. She's not that old.
Yeah. I was thinking of Prince William.
We're not scientists.
I was thinking it was the William guy.
Yeah, they're business majors, not history majors.
Yeah.
Okay. I had another question, but it wasn't like it's just an actual general fact I knew the answer to, but it's not on this list of questions, so I'm not gonna put y'all through that pain. Okay, this one. So next question: true or false? Stagecoach owned Southwest Trains before losing the rights to First Group and MTR in March of 2017.
False.
True.
Okay, well, Casey, you are correct.
50
It
for
is
that
true.
one.
It is true.
I only had one other spot.
Yeah. You could have gone with.
Yeah,
false.
y'all could have gotten both
Yeah.
right. Ooh, that would have been one. All right. Avery, what question is this? Question 4?
3.
Question 3? Really?
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Question 3 or 4? Yeah, 3. Chartreuse is a color between yellow and what?
Chartreuse is a color between yellow and
Purple.
green, isn't it?
The answer is green. Yes,
Green.
it is.
Ah, truce.
I always think chartreuse is like red,
I always think it's like a yellow.
but it is a yellow.
No, it's a cross between yellow and green. I think it's
Yeah,
like
it's
I
basically
always thought it was
yellow.
like a yellow.
I
It's
always thought it was red. It feels like a red.
Isn't chartreuse like a this mask color? It's like a greeny yellow.
I thought that was mint or like Tiffany blue. I don't know. I'm just being really specific. If people know me, they know that I'm weirdly specific about random stuff like that. All right, are y'all ready for the next question?
Yeah.
Which of the following is older? Betty White or sliced bread?
Or what?
Oh,
Sliced
Betty
bread.
White. Betty White. Sliced bread didn't come into like the 70s.
Really? Well,
Yes.
you're right. You are right. It is Betty White.
Yeah,
Casey.
sliced bread only came around about 60 years ago.
Yeah.
It's weird to think like how.
People just eat chunks.
Yeah, like they
Just ate a whole loaf of bread.
Yeah, they just ripped it
Didn't
off.
cut it.
Yeah,
No
with
one thought to slice it.
the top slice was one loaf and the bottom slice was another loaf. So, okay. Here's the next question. What is the currency in Poland? I don't know how to pronounce this, but I have the word in front of me. So if it's
It's not francs. It's
No, Frank's is German.
yeah. Oh
I
man.
thought it was France.
Is it franc? Is it Polish francs?
No, it's not.
I think
Oh.
Franks is Switzerland.
I have
Like Swiss
no idea.
francs.
We may have to hit the medium button on these questions.
Oh, okay. I'll switch to the medium one after this one.
Danny, I got them all right. All right.
What do you mean? You got a 50? You got a 50?
I'm up 4-1 right now.
1-1.
It's tied 2-2.
2-1. Yeah,
It's tied 2-2. Okay, it's fine. No one got it right. The answer for that is the currency in Poland is, and I'm gonna butcher this, zloty.
Oh no, I would never gotten that.
Oh, because that is something everyone knows if
Yeah.
they're not Polish.
Hey, in fairness, I asked easy, medium, hard, and I was told hard. Okay, so we're gonna switch it down to medium. Okay, y'all, is everyone ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
What is the world's most expensive spice by weight?
Saffron.
Casey.
Casey.
Casey. Good job.
Saffron.
How do you know? How do you know
I
that?
thought that was a rock.
No, saffron's. I think it's made in Iran or Iraq. It's red. It's only grown in one extremely small part of that region because of the climate, and but the thing is, like, it's used so much that it's extraordinarily expensive. But you can't even buy real saffron. You have to buy like the powder of it nowadays, and even the powder is extraordinarily expensive.
I always thought saffron was yellow.
I
but
really thought it was a rock.
No, saffron might be yellow. It's either yellow or red.
I think you're probably thinking of sapphire.
Yeah, maybe.
yeah, sapphire. Sapphire's a rock.
Yeah.
I haven't graduated yet. It's fine. Blame it on that.
Oh god, it doesn't get any better after you graduate, trust me, Avery. Okay, here's what's the points at, Avery? Out of curiosity.
Casey is at 3. Danny is at 2.
All right, and how many questions has it been? I haven't been keeping track of questions.
I think it's been 6.
Okay. 4 more question, boys, and then we have a winner. All
Hopefully.
right. The likeness of which president is featured on the rare $2 bill of the U.S. currency? Which president was it?
And this is all you.
Thomas Jefferson.
Say that again.
Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah, it actually
Who was
is.
the president?
Yes.
I don't know anything about America.
I don't either. I just know that because of Hamilton.
I haven't watched Hamilton.
And that explains it. Get on it. It's on Disney Plus. All right. So that goes to Danny. Is it tied again?
Yeah.
Oh wow. All right. Question 7. What is I don't know how to pronounce it. Xenophobia. I'll give you the spelling. What is xenophobia the fear of? So it's CYNO phobia. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right.
Xenophobia?
Xenophobia sounds like the irrational fear of poisons, but I don't think that's right.
I could also be pronouncing it wrong, which is why I gave the spelling, but it could be how Avery said it.
Xenophobia or something like that?
Dan, can you turn your camera on so I know you're not typing this in?
I'm not Googling. I'm staring off into space trying to think of what it is.
Xenophobia.
Okay, Dan.
Yeah, it's such a lie. I could hear the clack of the
What do
keyboard.
you mean?
Xenophobia. I might have to go. It's either the rational fear of colors or poisons.
I'm gonna go with spiders.
Well,
Is it actually?
It's not. It's not
Okay,
Oh,
spiders.
this is a different thing.
Spiders is
Arachnophobia.
arachnophobia.
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm not up to date on my phobias. I apologize.
It's all good. So it's xenophobia is the fear of dogs, which makes me think like, was I pronouncing it wrong? Because like when I think dogs, like canine, and like the C is like
It might be kinophobia.
see, yeah.
Yeah, it's all Latin, so maybe it was in Latin. Dog is Sina or something.
Oh my gosh, xenophobia. All right, here's another one. Is everyone ready?
Yeah.
Why is this a medium? Okay, which restaurant's mascot is a clown?
McDonald's.
Oh, that was really close. Avery, did you hear from your end who said it first?
No.
No? Dang it, that was question 8 too. Okay.
That's a medium?
That's what I said. I was like, why is it a medium?
That's
I'll
it.
give it to both. I'll give it to both, and then we can do an 11th if we need to.
Wait, if we give it to both, will it be tied?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tiebreaker. Make it a sports.
This is gonna be it. This is gonna be the tie breaker. Okay. You just say make it a sports question.
Yeah.
No, do not.
You know what's funny? What did I tell you, Avery, when we were planning what trivia question to do? Okay, here we go. For the last question, the tie-breaking question. Okay. Okay, it's medium, so I guess that works. What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? The bird? It's the bird.
Yeah.
28 miles an hour.
Huh?
28 miles an hour.
28. Okay.
Yep.
Because it's a number, I'm gonna say whoever's the closest.
Well, swallows are small birds, so they're actually way faster than that. I would say 40 miles an hour.
All right. So Danny said 28. Casey said 40.
Yeah.
The correct answer is 24 miles per hour.
Let's go.
Congratulations, Danny.
Nice one, Casey.
Hey, swallow's got to pick up the speed here.
No way.
Low
You said that with such confidence too. Yeah, it's a smaller bird.
It's a smaller bird.
40 miles an hour.
Way faster.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, Danny, you won our trivia game. You get no prize but bragging rights. So
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm sure.
I can now
hear
officially
about
say I'm
this.
smarter than Casey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh wow.
In medium level trivia.
In medium.
Medium level trivia.
Oh,
I
wow.
did get a hard question right though, so
That's true.
it
That
should
is
count for
true.
something. And Casey only got the hard question right, where it was either true or false.
Saffron is a very unknown spice. I know the market value of it.
Oh my God. Well, thank you all for playing, and thank you so much for being a guest on our podcast today. We really appreciated hearing all about the Mental Health Research Project and all the work that you're doing. For people listening at home, is there anything you want to let them know? Any like last minute self promos about MHRP?
We did plug our website and our Instagram and our Facebook earlier in the episode. So, that will be available in the description of the podcast. But other than that, just be on the lookout for any future events that we're going to do or future merchandising opportunities that we're going to put out. And just be on the lookout, as COVID dies down and as everything starts to open up, we're going to hopefully start within the next, maybe not this summer, but next summer, we're going to probably start trying to get some in-person events going.
Yeah. And if you have any questions for Dan or I or anybody else on the team, just feel free to reach out on our Facebook, Instagram, anything you'd like.
Yeah, DM us on Instagram is probably the fastest way to get to us.
As always, don't forget that you can reach out to the Hub at 705-427-5639. The North St. Creek Wellness Hub offers a lot of mental health and addiction supports, as well as other supports like employment and education. So, and as this podcast episode has shown, like it's really important for people to, especially during these times, to know about those things that are available to them. So yeah, follow us on the social media as well. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We're on Spotify as you're listening to this podcast with the Red Couch Podcast. Yeah. Avery, anything else to add there, sis?
Thank you guys so much for being on this podcast and telling us and the people listening more about the Mental Health Resource Project.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Hope you guys have a great week.
Thank you. And to everyone listening at home, we'll catch you at the next episode. See you then. Bye.
Hey.